Yes. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Her Journey. I am your host, Jackie Cameron.
And I am Cassandra Cast.
You're our co-host.
Our co-host.
Yes. Okay. So today we are going to do something a little different. My sister and I, we're going to be talking about our logo. A lot of people love the picture that we have used for this particular podcast and just find that it's very meaningful and powerful. She's putting up
there we go.
a picture of it. So in this, you see a little girl in a picture frame, and she has a red heart with the keyhole in it, and then the grown woman is standing in front of her with the key pointing towards the heart to unlock her. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what that means and how that came up as part of our logo for Her Journey. So as we stated in our first introduction episode, that the H.E.R stands for healing, evolving, and redefining women. And this is a safe place that women can come and share their stories of struggles, triumphs, victories, successes, all of the things that they're going through, and to encourage other women and to empower them, because we're all on a journey, and we're all in different chapters of that journey. I'm going through a journey right now, and my sister herself is as well. So even in the midst of that family journey that I'm going through, I am determined to push through and stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Doesn't mean that doubt doesn't come in, doesn't mean that fear doesn't try to come and grab me, but I am reminded I don't live in that. I visit from time to time, but I don't live there because I know that God will vindicate the situation.
Yes.
And so I want to encourage other women that, it's so interesting. We had started this podcast. I said yes to another program that I'm doing to become a Christian life certified coach. And ever since I've said yes to these two things, it has provoked the enemy. And so, but God gets the glory, God gets the praise, because I know greater is coming. This is a storm, but this too shall pass. So I said all that to say that even in the midst of going through our own struggles, that we are still encouraging and doing this podcast to let people know that God is real and that He ultimately gets the last say. So today, when I think about this logo, Her Journey, and that little girl, and I feel like all of us have that little girl inside of us. And I've always had this vision of this little girl. I used to share it with Cassandra, like, my vision of seeing this little girl, a grown woman, and that when we heal the little girl, the grown woman can rise. And many of us, we can heal her from whatever it is you're going through. For me, it would be from abandonment and rejection, wounds of an absent father. For some other people, it might be something traumatic that's happened to you.
Yes.
But if we don't heal her, she shows up in our grown woman.
Yes.
And she shows up in how we handle relationships, make decisions, it affects our lives. So we have to do our work. And that's, sometimes painful. It takes us back down memories that we don't want to what is the word? Resurrect.
Yes.
But it is necessary for your healing.
Yes.
And so that full surrender of giving that thing to God, and just asking Him to come in and heal that little girl so that she's set free. As I like to say, she's tired. She doesn't want to have to keep carrying this. Sometimes we think that she's healed and then something will happen and she gets re-triggered.
Oh my gosh.
And you're like, oh my God, I thought I was healed from that. This happened, and she gets re-triggered. And in those moments, we have to acknowledge that, but we have to talk to her and we have to say, okay, whatever, give her a name. I don't know what your little girl's name is. And my little girl, you know, I haven't given her a definite name. Sometimes it changes in the moment, but give her a name and just say, hey, wait, no, we're not doing this.
Yes.
You know, we've arrived, we've healed from this, we're on our healing journey, and I will not be taken back, you know.
Right.
And so I don't know if you want to chime in and share something in this moment.
Well, I think sometimes we don't recognize that that little girl needs to be healed. And I promise you, in the last couple years, in talking to Jackie, her inspiration, recognizing that she isn't healed, that there was things that happened, and as soon as something happened, you go right back to it.
Yeah.
You go right back to it, and you're like, why? I thought, but you have to deal with it. And like you said before, prayer and therapy.
Yeah, Jesus and therapy.
Jesus and therapy.
Yeah,
and with that therapy, you start to learn and understand and go through the things that need to go through. You need to accept it. You need to face it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. You need to really face it. Okay. You can't turn your back on it. You can't just throw dirt over it as if it doesn't exist. If you don't deal with it, it is always going to be like something out of a movie coming up to grab you.
Yeah, that's true.
It never gets buried completely. You got to deal with it, whatever it is. I have plenty of trauma in my life from a little girl growing up. And if I did not deal with them, it's shown up in my relationships. It showed up in my marriage. It showed up in how I was looking for someone to marry and marrying the wrong person.
Yes.
And all of those things are part of that healing process and healing that little girl. Because once you heal the little girl, you're not searching for all the wrong things. Because what you're doing, especially like in a marriage, you're searching for somebody that the little girl wanted.
Yes.
The woman is not searching.
Yeah.
The little girl is trying to find someone to fulfill something from when I was 7, when I was 12. And if you don't heal that, the woman can never be able to actually look for someone suitable for where she is in her life.
Exactly. And when you said that, that just reminded me of like, you get stuck at that 7, 8, 10, whatever year this thing happened to you, and like you are now filtering that through the grown woman's body, but you are still locked into the memory of the 7, 8, 10, 11, 12-year-old. And so that's why you're not even filtering that through the eyes of the grown woman at this point. And that's why it's important too, when you go through this process, I think one of the biggest thing is self-forgiveness.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we think, well, you know, it's my fault. And sometimes you have to remember it's not even your fault. Like sometimes other people, we're carrying the weight of something that somebody else has put on us. Someone who says, you aren't good enough. Someone who says you never do this. Someone says you're not beautiful enough. It's not even your own baggage that you're carrying. You have allowed someone else to put their baggage into your suitcase. And now you are carrying this, and this suitcase is now moving from a purse to a carry-on to a small size to a middle size to the biggest size. And some of us are even carrying around trunks.
Yes.
You know, and there's a scripture in the Bible that says, set aside every weight that so easily beset you, you know. And so some of us, we just carrying him out, we just weight it down. And so we're carrying around, you know, all of these, just all this luggage. And we, again, like I said, have allowed somebody else to put some of that we own through our decision making, through where we were at that time in our life. And we made those decisions. So take 100% responsibility for the things that you were responsible for. Because some things were done to us. So I don't want to negate that. Some things were not in our control. And I understand that. But then there's some things that were in our control that we need to take 100% responsibility for. Ask God to forgive us. And then move on and stop getting stuck. Because the enemy's plan is to make you relive that thing. And like I heard someone in one of the classes that I was taking in this master class called Coaches, and she said the enemy doesn't have any new stuff. He keeps replaying the old to us, and he just keeps replaying it because he does not have access to our future. And so when we can begin to see that and get with someone, we said Jesus and therapy, but find somebody that's positive, negative, someone who you can be transparent with, someone who's not judgmental, that you can begin to share the wounds of the little girl. Someone that will pray with you, someone that will encourage you, and help you walk through this valley. And on the other side of that valley, there's liberty. There's freedom, there is peace, there is joy. And, so it's getting through. It's like, I like to say, the work that we don't want to do is like, you plant a seed today, but you don't see that seed budding. So, what, you go out there every day, right? You water it. You put it in sunlight, you change the soil, change the pot or whatever. And then eventually, weeks down the road, you see a bud. But the process started the moment you planted the seed. So the moment you make the decision to start to address the issues of the little girl, you are on the process. I like to use another example about working out. When you go to the gym, you're on the treadmill, nobody says in 2 days, "Oh, Cassandra, you look like you lost 10 pounds. No, you could be in there for weeks. Maybe 6 weeks down the road, somebody sees you, or 4 weeks down the road, somebody sees you. They be like, "You look, you're slimming down." But the minute you broke the first sweat, the process started. So we can't be afraid of the process. A lot of us are afraid of the process of getting started, of the process of bringing up the pain, but it is through that you push through to get to the other side of victory, and then you have a testimony where you can encourage other people to be like, "Girl, you can do it. You can do this. You can be transformed." We're so busy trying to transform other people's life, but transformation starts with us. So in order to be effective, in order to be what do I want to say, accountable for others, like, you got to start that accountability with yourself. You got to start your accountability with yourself. And so when this podcast came about, and then, we got the healing, evolving, redefining, and then we were trying to decide on a picture. If you hear some noise, please forgive us. We're in the conference room, that's reserved, but there's some folks on the outside. And then we just started, looking at the little girl, because I've always been interested in the little girl. And so we found this amazing young lady that captured what we wanted. We went back a couple times, because the grown woman looked a little too suave. So we wanted her to look a little bit like our age. And so the demonstration of the grown woman holding that key, that you have the key to unlock the little girl, to unlock those issues, to unlock those things that are holding you back, and to become free so that you can move in the things that God has called you to do. You can live life in purpose. You don't have to live in the fear of your mind, which your mind is a prison by itself. And let me tell you, in the last couple of days, your mind can take you on a trip that you could not otherwise pay for. And so you have to rewind and stop yourself. I have to stop myself in the midst of thinking how it's going to play out, and be like, "God, I trust you." And get connected to good people. Like, this is my good sister. I called her, and I love good people because they let you have your moment. They don't be like, "Oh, you shouldn't even be doing that." They let you have your moment. They support you, and then they softly bring you back to Christ. They softly remind you, like, "Girl, God got this. Girl, God," and and me knowing that, but sometimes you get in that moment. So
affirmation of it.
People that aren't speaking positive into your life,
should not be in there.
Should be deleted. should not add value as you go through this season of healing that little girl, because some of them are to remind you of, "Girl, remember what you used to do?" Like, no, that's not, we don't need these people. Anymore. So people want to take you back where you live. Like, I no, I don't reside there anymore. And so I'm a new creature now in Christ. And so surround yourself with those people that can have the ability to help you go through this process of healing that little girl. And it takes time.
It takes time.
So don't beat yourself up if you have a setback, just don't live there.
Yes.
Visit, but come out. Yeah. So
you were talking about the seed.
Mm-hmm.
That seed goes so far back, and that's what the enemy wants us to focus on.
Yeah.
That seed that was planted when we were 2, 3, 5, 7. And when I did my my episode, I talked a little bit about my mom, and in looking at that, just as we've been doing this, I thought about my mom and the little girl in her, and how it affected me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can see that now. That little girl was never healed. And I saw, like we said, doesn't make it right how things happen.
Yeah.
That's my story.
Yeah.
And she was trying to find her place.
Yeah.
She never found that place. That little girl was still searching.
Yeah.
She was searching for it in her marriage. She was searching for trying to be the mom. It was just, it's so right on point. When we did that, I was like, wow. And so I like to try to encourage young people, give some grace to your parents, because sometimes they haven't healed that little girl or that young man. And then also, you have to forgive people. If something happened to you 10 years ago, and I get it because I've had some serious traumas, you have to forgive those people, because if you don't forgive, God won't forgive. But you hold on to that, it's carrying weight on you. And what happens is, as those 10 years passes by, it has gotten heavier and heavier and heavier, because each time it is taking away the things that you could have been doing. So then that builds the regret. So that's why it gets heavier and heavier, because you really can't move past it, because you're trying to keep going, but it's something else is added to it. And I didn't get a chance to do this because this happened, and I never healed her at 12. And then I didn't heal, and it just goes on and on and on. So you have to be able to move past it, because there's no reason for you to be holding on to something for 10 years. You have to learn how to go to therapy, learn how to forgive it, and let that little girl heal. You gotta listen to her. Because a lot of times we didn't listen. People didn't listen to us, so then we don't listen. And we want to be heard. You want to be heard. You want somebody to care about what happened to you. I don't want to negate and make it seem like you just got to forgive and forget. That's not it. That is not it at all. But there has to be a healing process. That seed, you need to plant a seed of forgiveness and watch that grow. And watch how your life will change from that. And you keep planting that, and you keep dealing with that, because that will really resonate in you and will give you some life. Yeah, very true. And I also want to point out that the power of forgiveness is not for you. It's not for the other person. Right. I'm sorry. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you, that it releases you and doesn't keep you hostage. So a lot of times you're like, I don't want to forget, but you're holding on to that energy or whatever in your body, and then that turns into stress, and then that starts to affect you. And it just starts. So it's for you, so that you can move on, and so when you brought up the point about like your mom, and recognizing now that she carried her little girl, and I can see moments where my mom carried her little girl, and if we don't stop, it just becomes generational, that we aren't teaching our daughters to heal their little girl. Like, even with my daughter, we have an open relationship. And so she has even shared things from my marriage that she watched and saw that, affected her. And so, and then you can't be like, oh, no. So I, had to humble myself and listen to what she was saying.
and knowing how it affected her, and then ask her for forgiveness for allowing myself to not be in a healthy place to make a better choice, because I made the choice from my little hurt girl, right?
Yeah.
And so now asking her to forgive me for my choices. And so it was a beautiful aha moment when we had that conversation. And so, and not getting all like, you can't tell me what to do, or I'm your mother, too bad. No, because we can affect our children. So having an open ear to have that time with my daughter, and then in turn, had the opportunity to have that moment with my son, a while back, where he just came to my room one day and he's just like, can I hug you? Like, I haven't hugged you in a while. And that just turned into a very emotional moment. And it was something that he was going through. And this is a couple of years ago. And, and then me asking him for forgiveness for having them to see and experience, right, certain things that happened during that marriage, that if I was in a healthier place, if somebody had taught me how to heal that little girl, or how to show up for myself, that I would have probably made a different choice. Right?
Yes.
But not knowing, so here's the thing, is this triple effect that comes onto our children.
Yes.
And so we have to recognize that and sit down and have conversations with our children about like how growing up with me, how did that affect you?
Yes.
And that, we might hear some stuff we don't like. We might hear some stuff we disagree with, because the perception is in the person who's telling the story, right? So, but being strong enough to be like, okay, I respect what you're saying. What I ask you to forgive me, and just moving from that moment. We are healing those little people inside our children when we allow them. We're healing that little boy that recognizes that, okay, my mom acknowledges. We're healing that little girl inside our girl that recognizes my mom acknowledges. And then, so we make room to have such a different type of relationship with our children. So this is deep. So I'm so glad that God gave this little girl. And I've been hearing about this little girl before this little girl has been in my spirit. I'm like, I want to write a book about this little girl. I have the whole outline and the picture and, the drawing. And then I just started to hear in the movie with Viola Davis.
The Help?
No. The Warrior one.
Oh, the Warrior King.
Yeah, I forget. It was Viola Davis. She was like the warrior.
Yes.
There's a moment in that movie where she talks about the little girl, right?
It is.
And I'm like, I went to see the movie, and I'm just like, that's
right. I remember that. We talked about it. Yes.
Do you remember what it was? Because I can't remember exactly what.
It was when, after they had, the men wanted her to do one thing, and then there was another young lady that wanted to be a part of it. And it resonated something within her. And she had to recognize that little girl in her.
She was having dreams. About this little girl doing this warrior fighting. And then she recognized that one day that little girl was her. And she had to go and rescue her. So it's been like, the Woman King. Thank you. So great movie. Check it out. And so I've been just hearing about this little girl. Like, I just got in a conversation the other day with a good friend, Jackie Jones, and she and I started talking, and her daughter is a therapist, but her daughter deals with mindfulness. She deals with healing the inner child. And when she said that, something like leap, I said, we need to get her on the podcast. But healing that inner child. And, we all have an inner child. And I'm like, this is, we are to something. So when you see our logo, just think of those things, that's what we're here for. We want to have those conversations that are meaningful, those conversations of moments that you might not even realize that you were healing that little girl.
That's the key.
But that came from someplace else. It didn't just show up. There's a book, and I can't remember the author, but it's called Trauma Did Not Start With Me. My trauma did not start with me. It is an excellent book. A trauma did not start with me. I'll put it in the comments, later to get the definition. But it talks about trauma passing down from the third and fourth generations, which is so biblical, right? Because God talks about the third. So when your mom was pregnant with you, the trauma that she experienced passed down to you.
Yes.
And then when you got pregnant with your daughter, you passed on. So some of the stuff that we do, we be like, why do you do that? Some of it isn't even your stuff. That was passed down. You'd be like, why like my whatever.
And the only person that can heal that is God.
Yeah.
We have to recognize that. The only person that can truly heal that is God. We can think about all this other stuff, and then to do the work.
Yeah.
God gives us the chance to do the work.
Yes.
I was speaking with a young lady today and I was talking to her and I was like, she was talking about how, well, I left and I didn't feel good about the way I left and I feel guilty. I said, but you have to forgive yourself. Mm-hmm. You were dealing with a certain thing, a trauma at that time.
Yeah.
And you have to, once God forgives you, you have to pray that all of those people that were involved will heal and understand and let them not be affected by a decision that I made at the time.
Yeah.
But you have to forgive yourself. But that's that trauma we continue to carry it and pass it on to others. And it is so important to discuss it with people. You want people that can pray with you, that can, Jackie, I'm going through, I need your help. Listen to me. I just can't. You need that support system. And if people are not supporting you in your life, and if people are tearing you down, they don't need to be there. The time is gone for all these so-called friends that really just want a piece of you. Placeholders. And they want the blessings that are attached to your life.
Yeah.
We talked about that today. People, because they know that you're blessed, they want to be attached to you. They don't really want you. They want to be attached to you because you can make things happen, you get things done, and God is moving in your life and they see that. But they don't really want you. That's time out for that.
They're attracted to what you have.
Yes. It's time out for that. We have to let that go. And that's part of this healing and then evolving, allowing yourself to change and grow. I was outside today with my new puppy and I saw the trees budding and I just thought like, wow, the rain comes, the snow comes, but then the budding comes. If we allow ourselves to go through the storms and the things that are happening, like all of this weather stuff is going on. But when I was young, it was always April showers bring May flowers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there has to be some rain. There has to be some hard things so that you can appreciate the good. And I think I had someone at a message that this gentleman brought, and he talked about some of the points. He said, determination is fuel for faith, and determination requires effort, and purpose has a tendency to attract persecution.
Ooh, that's good. That is so good. That is so good.
My niece actually, she said, when you know your purpose, you don't cause problems, you solve them.
Yes. Yes.
You don't cause problems. So people that are always bringing issues and bringing problems, if that's the way they want to do, then you do that over there. Don't bring your stuff to me. So that was just so powerful to me. A lot of us, and then one of the other things he said is a lot of us have that give up in our mind. We're so tired.
Yeah.
But if we have that hold on in our heart, we can make it. And that hold on requires having a connection to people that will help you hold on.
Yeah.
That's that one.
Yeah.
Because yes, we do get tired. Yeah. Yes. It wears on you sometimes. It sometimes it just, in family, you know what? God forgive you, but sometimes you just got to keep going. You got to leave them behind. Yeah. Because there's a purpose and a reason for you. Yeah. And if they're not there yet, then they can't necessarily come on this journey.
And you have to be okay with that. So that everybody cannot come.
Yes.
Everyone cannot come where you're going, but we trying to drag them, pull them. They resisting. No, but free yourself of having the gift of goodbye. It's like they don't the gift of they don't have to come, because then if you allow them to come, they contaminate
and tear down what
you are purposed to do. And then you wonder, like, well, why haven't I advanced? Almost like the children of Israel, that it was a 10-day journey
10 days.
that took 4 years.
Every time I think about that,
want to get the lesson the first time, I don't want to continue to continue the lesson. So disobedience, starting to lose hope, starting to, so they went round and around and around and around for 40 years. And then they didn't even make it to the promised land. They died out. That old generation died out. They did not come to see.
Do you see my mouth? I'm sitting there going, what?
Yeah. So,
I don't want to be that, Lord. Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. Because I do not want to be that.
No. So we all need to get in touch with our emotions, like identify those things that you feel that the little girl is still struggling with, haven't healed from, the process, and write them down. Journaling is also a great way. And I wanted to make a point when you talked about, people that might have caused some of this pain for you. And even if they're no longer here, the power of writing a letter is powerful. Or if you are afraid to confront that person, you write a letter, read it out loud, have a ceremony, burn it.
And let me just say,
let it go.
That may seem trivial,
it's so powerful.
I have done it, and it works. And it releases something in you. It releases something.
Sets you free. That energy that you feel in your body that you're carrying from that. So it's
not trivial.
It's not always like I don't want to have a conversation with them. But writing is healing. Getting a journal, writing. Reading it out loud.
Yes.
Rip it up, burn it, whatever you need to do, it will do something.
Yeah, it will.
And leave us a comment. If you try this, leave us a comment and tell us how you will feel a weight lifted off of you.
Like we wouldn't tell you anything that we haven't done our own selves.
Yes, absolutely. I've written several letters. I've written several letters, and it does do something. It does release.
She's much better at journaling than I am, but I can say it does help. I am not quite there yet. But I'll start and then I'll fall off. But it's important to recognize it. Like I don't even know how to explain how powerful it was when we talked about this, and I recognized that my mom had the little girl stuff. Like that just bowls me over right now. Like, wow. It doesn't negate what she did and how things happened or in the treatment of how I felt, but it really does just like, wow, this is really a real thing. And I think if she had healed it, I wouldn't have married my first husband. Definitely wouldn't have married the second one, because I'm gonna tell y'all now, the flags are not fuchsia. They're not pink or dark pink. They're red. Run. Run. I was like, no, it's not really red. It can, no. Run.
But that's what happens when we're looking at it through the lenses of our unhealed self.
Yes.
Our unhealed self. So, so when we get into that place that's healthy, that place of healing, we see the red before it even comes close. We go, oh, no, and so we have to, as they say on the plane, put the mask on ourselves first, before we try to help someone else, and really, really own this journey. And so every time I, open up our podcast and I look at that picture, I just love it. I love that God has given us the vision for that particular logo, because it is so necessary. It's so, we're in our, there are women, young women, this is for all women, you know what I'm saying? So that it's just carrying around all this weight, and we're tired and we're irritable and we're, and we're just not making good, sound decisions. Because, and some of us, if I'm to be transparent totally, some of us, we are comfortable with our little girl because we don't want to do the work, right? So we get comfortable with her because then we can continue to blame others for where we are in life, and we don't have to look at ourselves.
Yeah.
And look in that mirror and do the work to heal her. So, when we talk about this, people get, they get a little nervous because now it's like a fish out of. So if I heal her and now I'm
Where's it gonna go?
What do I do? Because I'm so used to living in chaos. So now if I have this newfound peace.
That's the key.
What peace? So no, but so we nurture her, we feed her. What we feed will grow. When I say feed her, we stay with our negative thoughts, we align with our negative thoughts, we find people that will support our negative thinking, and be like, girl, yeah, you're right, no, be hanging around people that won't challenge us to come out of that, and won't challenge us to be like, girl, look at it a different way. Look, girl, no, that's not right. We stay with people who just, smooth us over and never challenge us.
Like that little girl, we want to hold on to that little girl.
Yeah.
Remember, because I was like, no, we want the puffs, because everybody had the little puffs. Mm-hmm. She's so cute. We want to hold on to our little girl because she's the one that was there with us. But you have to let her rest. She wants you to do better. The little girl wants you to succeed. Yeah. She really does, because that's where all your hopes and dreams are. And so we can't get to those until we heal that little girl. Because the little girl holds all that, when you're young, you're free spirited and you want to try this and try that, and you have all these dreams and aspirations. And then as we go through life, we keep adding on junk, and then stuff gets buried. But if we heal the little girl, and if we go, she'll be like, let's try this. Let's try that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden that little girl blossoms. Yeah. And you into this real woman. Yeah. And that's what you want. Yeah. You want that little girl to blossom into this beautiful woman. Yeah. So, I would encourage moms that have conversations with their daughters and sons. And sons, children. So let's say their children. And then, I was fortunate enough to be able to have some conversations with my mom before her passing. My mom was a very private person, so it was like plenty. But we got there, so we got to a place where I could understand some of her choices and decisions that she made and what she was thinking in that moment. Whereas before I was in my own way thinking, why would she do that? Like, and so I got to better understand, and that's what we have to do, start talking. We just making assumptions that the person did this because of that. And so anyway, and I'm going to say that as Black people, for those of us that are listening, this podcast is not for Black people, but I'm addressing this point to Black people. We've got to get better at effective communication. Yeah. We got to get better at talking to each other. We've got to get better at hearing things that we don't want to hear from our children, from, from whoever you are going to be having these conversations with when you open that door. Family. And just kind of seeing it from the other person's point of view. Now, I'm not saying that everything they say is going to be truth, but perception is in the mouth of the person telling the story, how they see it. So sometimes you just have to, if it's not something that's going to harm you or damage you in any other way, you just, okay. You know what? Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Forgive me if I have offended you. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't like, oh my God, I'm just sitting here taking it away. They said, no, if I've offended you in a way, because it might not have been offensive to me, but it might have been offensive to them. So if I have offended you in any way, I'm sorry. And just, stop arguing about it. Right. And let me just say, that offense could have been from that little girl that isn't healed by them. Exactly. That. So give grace. Right? Yes. Give grace. Yes. Give grace to ourselves, give grace to our parents, give grace to people that you're going to have this conversation with during this healing journey. But I definitely invite you to consider healing the little girl. Yes. You will not regret it. You know what? And even when she's healing, there are moments, like I said, where something will come and trigger her, and you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, what?
It's okay. So we're not talking about perfection.
No.
We're talking about progression.
Progression.
Okay?
Yeah.
So don't think it has to be perfect. You don't think, oh my God, you said you're a little girl and I had a moment where I went. No. Do you know how many years, but all those of us grown have lived with her?
Yes.
We have lived with her for longer than some 30-year mortgages.
Girl.
But
Seriously took up residence.
so she is, the banks come, look at.
Yeah. Girl, that's that generation, your grandma's house.
Some of us have lived past that, like she's in foreclosure and we still don't get out of the house. And then since the last letter and you still in there and packing up your stuff.
Don't go, little girl, don't go. Because you become comfortable with that.
So but just, you know what, you're missing out on liberty, freedom. You're missing out on living life lighter. You're missing out on rest, because some of us sleep, but we do not rest. Those are two different things. You're missing out on just emotional stability, mental stability, physical stability. Like all of the stuff is weighing you down and you don't even realize it. You're like, I wonder why I do this and I wonder why I do, like, no, set her free. And this is a place where you can come and share those stories if you want to start with us and begin your journey of healing by just saying it out loud.
But trust me, you have no idea what some of us, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So don't think.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. And we don't profess to be experts. We are doing this podcast.
I have no letters
just for based on our own life experiences and what God has done for us. And we know if He did it for us, He could do it for other people. But we can find resources and connect you to people that are professionals that can help get you to the next step. So even if you choose to want to write in your story, again, at herjourney62@gmail.com. Please do, share this podcast with friends and others. If you like this podcast or any of our other episodes out there, please subscribe to our channel. Get the word out that this is a place for women. Yes. A safe place that we encourage each other and we uplift each other, and we're not here to say, oh, well, why are you in that chapter and I'm in this chapter? No, we're all in the book. We're in different chapters, and we're here to not point fingers, but to join hands and encourage each other and let you know that you are loved, you are seen, you are heard. So I don't know if you want to add anything else to this. This is just a short episode, but we wanted to come and just let you know the meaning behind our logo.
Yeah. And the significance of it, because it really is a significance to it. It's very important that we take a look at it, because we as not just Black women, but as women, we take on everything and everybody else's stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't help the next person if you don't put your mask on. And we as women, and I've heard from Black, white, yellow, green, purple, we do it. That's what we do. We take on everybody's stuff. We try to be the best parent. We try to do this. And then even sometimes in trying to be the best parent, we're actually making more mistakes than we recognize. So be okay with listening to them and listening to what they say.
And don't try to compare. I was doing some study today and the word comparison came up, and it was like, comparison is the thief of joy. Wow. Comparison is a thief of joy, because when we start to try to compare ourselves to the next person, or why their family look good, a lot of things on Instagram and all these pictures that you see of couples and all that, it's a picture in a frame. Yeah. But you don't know what it took to get in the frame there. Right. So don't compare yourself to anyone else, and just be, just work your journey. Right.
Just work
your journey and your healing, and not be concerned about, well, how did they get that? Or how did they do that? You know, they might have done their work when you haven't, or you might be in the process of doing your work. So just the comparison is a thief of joy, and let's not do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's just work our individual God-given journey and find out our purpose. And then walk that thing out and set other sisters free. When you get free, grab the hand of somebody else and say, girl, come on. We're going to walk this freedom journey together.
Right.
So we hope that you have enjoyed this episode of just sharing about the meaning behind our logo. We will be having a guest coming on our next episode, but in between we'll be doing these little pop-ups, we'll call them, just between my sister and I. So again, stay blessed.
Stay encouraged.
Yes, you are loved, you are seen, you are heard. And so stay tuned.
They're important.
Yes. So lastly, I would say stay tuned. We are coming for her. God bless.
God bless.